Hello, everyone. My name is Missael Soto. This is my student art critique analysis. I'm going to be going over two different paintings that are very similar in style and that they are product of war, post-product of war. So let's get right into it. So first I'm going to be going over Jose Clemente Orozco's fresco, Father Hidalgo. Orozco was born in 1883 in Ciudad Guzman in the Mexican state of Jalisco. He would move to Mexico City at the age of 7, where he would later study at the Academy of San Carlos. Orozco centered his art around post-revolutionary Mexico after the Cristero War. The lower class people of Mexico were left to struggle against the same evil forces that they thought were fighting against. Orozco basically would utilize his art to kind of shine light on the hardships and struggles of the Mexican people, as well as the greed and corruption of those in charge. He would express his art with techniques he mastered, like engraving, easel, and murals. Here's a quote by him. "In the world of politics, it was the same. War without quarter, struggle for power and wealth, factions and sub-factions were past counting, and thirst for vengeance insatiable." That's a quote when referring to the Revolutionary War of Mexico. The fresco painting Father Hidalgo was painted by Orozco in 1949, and it stands tall in one of the hallways of the government palace in Guadalajara. It covers the majority of the ceiling and two surrounding walls. And in this fresco, Orozco depicts one of Mexico's most significant figures in its history of independence, Padre Hidalgo, full name Miguel Hidalgo, who was a priest and saw the mistreatment of indigenous people in Mexico and pushed for independence from Spain. He eventually would lead a revolt in September of 1810, but would be unsuccessful and was later killed for treason. Hidalgo's revolt attempt with the indigenous people felt very parallel to what Orozco was witnessing happening to the people of Mexico at the time he was there. In the Mexican Revolution, with seeing the most underrepresented people seeing the worst side of it. In the fresco, Hidalgo is depicted wielding a fire across a battlefield, or what looks to be a war. He has little to no emotion as his eyes glare over what's beneath him. Orozco's avant-garde style utilizes these bright colors like red and orange, as you can see here, to draw attention to the large figure in the middle, which is Hidalgo, and almost creating an ominous or almost chaotic environment. Orozco had a background as a cartoonist back in Mexico, which you could also see on display here with the bold lines on both Hidalgo and the figures beneath him, and just kind of all around. You also notice at the left of the fresco, a cross behind lots of shadows, symbolizing the church, which Hidalgo was a member of. Despite a cross being a symbol for faith or hope in this painting, it kind of gives off an eerie feeling due to the madness of everything else that's going on. And on the opposite side, you will see people wielding a cross, but they're drawn more caricature-like with European symbols like swastikas and the hammer and sickle on their clothing, which is a reference to the time it was painted, which is after World War II, of course. The two sides of the fresco look as though they were attacking the people in the middle, and Orozco looks to kind of depict Father Hidalgo as the protector of the people, fighting off the institutions that he himself is a part of. In all, I think Orozco's Father Hidalgo fresco is a powerful painting, highlighting the emotions and desperation that go along with rage and war. Orozco was very much anti-clerical, anti-military, and expressed his, feelings in this fresco by combining different moments in time and connecting them to expose the ugly truth. Okay, so for the second painting, I will be doing Francis Bacon's Study for Portraits 7. It's a daring piece of art that kind of explores the torture of emotions, So a little background on Bacon. He was born in 1909 in Dublin, Ireland, to English parents. In 1926, Bacon would be forced to leave his house after his father refused to accept his homosexuality. He would move to London at 17 years old, where he kind of began his his artist endeavor. However, it wasn't until 1944 where he would begin to get his recognition for his art, following post-war London. Bacon's surrealist style art draws the eyes of the viewer with fine lines and fading colors that kind of come together to create often dark and eerie images. He's quoted saying his inspiration came after living in Paris and visiting a Pablo Picasso exhibition in 1927. The painting is number 7 in a series involving 8 different paintings, all depicting very similar painting. It's just a strong emotion and a scream that follow a similar pattern, just different colors, and cite other famous paintings. In this case, for this particular one, it's actually a reference to 17th century Spanish painter Diego Velázquez painting, Portrait of Innocent Tenth, which is a painting of, or a portrait of, Pope Innocent. Immediately you see the similarities in the subject, the shape, the size, kind of the angle they're in, clearly kind of making a citation to Velázquez painting. And he even has a quote saying, I want to paint like Velázquez, but with a texture of hippopotamus skin. Bacon's painting is a very dark piece with yellow accents going through it. The centerpiece being the figure in the middle, resembling Pope Innocente X, the 10th. In the original Pope portrait, he is wearing a regal red attire with gold and white accents, kind of a sense of purity. He is looking directly at the viewer with a rather unyielding look. The chair placement in both the photos is nearly identical, although in Bacon's rendition, the lines make their way through the whole painting, and it appears that the man is wearing a suit. The figure in the painting has his mouth open as though he is screaming while his body is still, almost as if in pain or unable to move. It is a painting that is purposely distressed, kind of, which amplifies the feeling of torment it gives off. It's another eerie piece, as I mentioned, that just kind of depicts pain and loneliness of the and the loneliness of the character kind of just suggests estrangement or distancing. Which kind of goes with Bacon's feelings. I mean, he's felt alienated since he was a boy, getting kicked out of his home and away from his family because of his sexuality. Having to make his way through these cities all alone, this piece is more of a feeling than anything. You can truly feel the scream and torment being wanted to let out. It's painful, unsettling, and the colors are bright and dark, and the line work is almost non-existent, with using mostly shadows and light to make out what they are or what's there. This is another just great piece. Kind of gives off the post-war kind of just anti-establishment as well that we got earlier from the Clemente Orozco piece.